Hello everybody, looks like that is working. I had a funny moment where the mic was actually picking up the music from my headphones, but I didn't realize I hadn't turned my noise suppression back on yet. So I was like, wait a second, why is my mic picking up the sound of my background music? How does that make any sense? Okay, that ping was not for me, but the ping for you guys did work. I'm very glad I set up that bot. It is one less thing that I need to set up. Okay, let me get the YouTube stream chat working here. There we go. Okay, it's working over there. That's working over there. Indeed you are. You are right on the ping. How have you been recovering since CES? I'm personally, I am mostly recovered. I've been holding off on streaming mostly because I'm recovering. And a little bit of laziness. Gonna move this window. Come on, no, I'm pointing at the other thing. There we go. Want to move that window more so there. Throw that there. Ready to Twitch open, so I insta-clicked. Ah, so you didn't even see like the Discord ping or anything. You were just on it. See, the flu knocked me out. Oof. See, did you guys get sick after or before me? I feel like we got sick at the exact same time. Because I remember being at the, like, XR after party thing. And I was starting to feel it a little bit in my throat then. But, like, nothing serious. And then it was like the next day that I actually started feeling it. But you guys got like taken out before me. Yeah. Like for the last, I want to say 2 days before yesterday. What day is it? Thursday? So yeah, like Monday and Tuesday, I just like forced myself to sleep. There wasn't much forcing going on, but I just tried to sleep as much as possible. You're just stacking debuffs. Alright, what was I gonna do? Right. I think this might be a source tree day. See what monitor it opens on. Oh, no, I want this window down there. Paid your dues. I'll see, it's like... I was about to say it's like taxes. It doesn't really... I don't know. Is there anything where, like... I don't know. I don't know. Just don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. I'm hoping that Reality Hack won't be as bad, because, you know, that's like 600 people congregating as opposed to the entire tech industry. So like, I want to carry over the changes from CES demo. Reality Hack main is going to get abandoned here. Because I want to create a new branch from main. What's going on here? Okay, that got merged in, it just doesn't have a line. But okay, all my current changes are on Reality Hack main. And I basically just want to pull everything in except for any of the Lua stuff. That can be left in the past. Since we're no longer trying to make it to Reality Hack with the engine, I do want to keep all the changes I've done for Reality Hack, except for the Lua changes, because I don't want Lua... So here's the thing, I am tempted to prototype out the scripting system with Lua, however, I know it's going to be a huge stink whenever I, like, eventually remove it. Because, like, why can't I just support both programming languages? I don't want to support multiple programming languages. The engine is almost an excuse for me to write a coding language. Like, the scripting language, I started prototyping out scripting languages before I started prototyping out engines. So I don't want to have to support two. I only want to have to support one. And that one to be, like, very well supported. So yeah, we're just gonna remove Lua, even though it's the idea of prototyping stuff with it is tempting. I'm not clicking stuff. I know. Okay. Do I have any outstanding changes? We have some stuff I did for the demo. Like here, this is what made it do like the load-in effect. That can get left in the past, so we'll just revert to those. And then that leaves us free to branch. Actually, no. First, we want to check out main. Now that we're on main, now we branch. This will just be refactor undo system, or we'll call it editor state, since that is the main name of what we're doing here. And then we are going to merge this one first because it's easy. So, yeah. We don't want to commit immediately if there are no conflicts. We want to do merge, see the file status. Well, actually, since it's first, that means that any of these changes would get rebased, maybe? I don't necessarily want to carry over all of the changes, though. I'm actually reset current branch to that commit. Revert all of these. Now what we're gonna do instead of doing that, is I'm going to pull request stuff. Because with the pull request, actually, with the pull request, are you able to choose what changes you want to keep? Okay. Oh, I do want to open it. Like a drawing tablet hiding like right here underneath the camera. So anytime you see me like that, I'm like trying to see it. Okay, so there's not really any fancy solution. It's really just, I guess I can cherry pick from... See, the reason I don't want it to straight merge, is because one thing I do is I make image assets not incremental assets. But I want to keep most of that boilerplate there, even though it doesn't work. And the reason I removed it for the demo that I did at CES was because it didn't work. I still want the code there, so I know what I was thinking in the past. And then I can refactor that later. So if I think here, all I do is mess with shaders, or default shaders. So if I cherry pick this, boom. Could you explain unique and weak pointers in a simple way? Yes I can. So unique, weak pointers, you also need shared pointers in this explanation. So let me pull out Paint. So we'll have like, this will be unique. We'll say U here. We'll have this be blue. This is shared, and we'll also have this here W. This is weak pointers. So the way that these work is through something called reference counting. With unique pointers, there is no reference counting happening. Basically, C++ has things called constructors and destructors, and those are functions that get called when structures or classes are created and destroyed. So for unique pointers, when they're created, obviously it allocates the memory in the form of a pointer, and all of your data is there being pointed to by the unique pointer. And then when the unique pointer is destroyed, goes out of scope, or whatever's containing it goes out of scope, it then automatically calls delete on that pointer. That's pretty simple. Where it gets less simple is when you get to shared and weak pointers. One last thing about unique pointers, there has to only be one of them, so it has a deleted copy constructor by default, and you get a lot of fun compiler warnings from that. But to fix most of them, you just call standard move on it. So whenever you need to pass the unique pointer to like a function, just call standard move and pass the pointer. You pass the pointer into standard move, and then suddenly the compiler stops complaining. That's most of what you need to know about that. Now, C++ does automatically cast unique pointers to shared pointers, so a unique pointer can become a shared pointer. And shared pointers they actually secretly contain 2 pointers. So I'm gonna make my main color black here, so that I actually have black. So there's 2 pointers inside of a shared pointer. One of them points to the data, and then whenever you do like the arrow operator on shared pointers, you're obviously interacting with the data. And then you don't have to worry about the second pointer at all, but what it does is it has a couple fancy things that happen in here. Mostly it has a count. So it has just a number in here that contains the total number of times that this shared pointer has been copied. So every time you call it a copy constructor on a shared pointer, it goes into this secret internal pointer and it adds 1 to that count. And then anytime one of those references, or every time one of those shared pointers is deleted, that count goes down by 1. So it's doing the same thing as a unique pointer and automatically calling delete on stuff, but it only calls delete once this count reaches 0. So you essentially don't have to worry about memory management at all, because the shared pointer is keeping this count reference of how many are existence. But let's say you want to have a reference to this shared pointer that doesn't keep it alive. Like, as soon as all of these get deleted, you want your data to also be deleted, but you still want to keep a reference to that doesn't stop data from being deleted. Like, for instance, let's say you have a player character. Oh, no. Well, yeah, let's say you have a player character and an enemy character in a game. Or, no, wait, this is better. Let's say you're playing League of Legends, and you've right-clicked a minion, and that minion is under tower, so it's taking, like, turret shots, and it's going to die. And that minion dies before you get there, and then your character stops moving. In your game, that minion could be represented as... Your character's reference to that minion could be represented as a weak pointer. Because I've been playing League recently, if you can't tell. Because your character needs a reference to that minion to know where to go, but that minion is going... Your reference to the minion, like you right-clicking the minion, won't keep it alive. So the weak pointer can be a example of that. The way they work is you can't directly access any data. You need to call upgrade on it. I can't spell, but whenever you call upgrade on a weak pointer, it gives you, then it actually gives you the shared pointer, or it gives you a null pointer. And if it gives you null, you know that this no longer exists, and if it gives you a pointer, then that does exist. And what it returns is another shared pointer, so you can keep the result of upgrade as long as you want, and it keeps this shared value alive. And then as soon as you forget about that, upgraded value by going out of scope or explicitly calling the deconstructor or something, then it once again allows the shared pointer to be deleted. So that's how all of that works. So weak pointer, it also has a secret pointer to this count, and it has that simply so that it can say, hey, data here, is the count 0? And if the count is 0, it knows to give you a null pointer instead of the actual data of the shared pointer. So there is actually a weak count here. So it has a count of how many weak pointers there are, and once both of these reach 0, once both the count and the weak pointer count reach 0, that's when it deletes the secret pointer. You don't really need to worry about that because it's handling it automatically, but that's kind of like a cool implementation detail for those things. So I guess hopefully that made some sense. I kind of went from like, could you explain them in a simple way to here is how they work, even down to like behind the scenes. But that's kind of how I understand things, is if I understand how it works behind the scenes, it makes it a lot easier to understand the regular way. Basically, unique pointer works very simply. You can only have one of it, and when it's deleted, it also deletes the pointer. Shared pointers, you can have as many as you want all over your program, and you don't need to worry about that pointer ever being deleted until you have forgotten about all of these shared pointer references. And then weak pointers are if you want to let the shared pointer die, but you still want to be able to occasionally get references to it, or check if it still exists or not. And yeah, that is how that works. So now I'm going to, I can just merge in all of this. Well, not all of it, because I don't want this add script assets. But there's a lot of changes there. So maybe I'll just switch over to here. No. We'll go here, we'll merge it in, and then we'll just remove Lua. Then we'll go into here, wherever Lua is. Then we also need to go into, did I do anything in here? No. I know somewhere in here. Here's where Lua is. Oh, editor windows. That's where I was using it. Right. We'll just delete that. Delete that. We don't need package config anymore. Remove. Lua. Now we go to Windows, because this is Windows here, and underneath the data window, I have like a temp file here. Oh, I don't want to delete that. In here somewhere we have scripted data, so we're just gonna remove all of that. Oh, do I have... build the database real fast. There is a type in editor asset. Oh, I'm halfway through a different refactor. So yeah, everything's broken. I'll just put that there. So the case is still here, but it falls into the default case. We don't need script text or display script data anymore. I do want to break out the different views of the data window into their own classes, and then whenever we're focusing on a particular subset of the data window, we initialize that class or even structure, and then that's what's handling this state data here, because that this is not the way at all. But there we go. Script assets are no longer a thing. Kind of. We still have editor script asset here, as opposed to my, oh, that's script source, which is the new system I'm working on right now. Which, now that we've basically removed Lua, indeed, C++ it is. Yeah, well. Water. Always has been, indeed. So next, I guess I just need to get right back to my actual refactoring. That was the easy part of the stream. Now I need to fully implement all of this stuff. Figure out how are we handling all of this. I'll increase the size, both for myself and for you guys. Actually, is that big? Yeah, it probably is. Wouldn't know. I have the streams paused on the headset to try to make it not nuke the decoder. C# shading has progressed a lot. I've been learning web GPU stuff. Still confined to Unity for anything advanced. Oh. Wait a second, should I recognize you? John. Dang it, John. What do I remember about what you're building? Are you one of the people making stuff in Java? Don't think you are. I feel like that's a Twitch chat thing. I think I've seen you post stuff in the Discord. Okay. So we have editor sources now. Web GPU looks interesting if WebKit is being separated from Google. I thought WebKit was some other company. Or whatever, like the CSS tags that are not regular CSS tags that you see in a lot of documentation. Okay. Mostly for Android mobile. I just have an entire GLTF loader here sitting in a root directory. Behold and be appalled. Okay, that completed successfully. So why is there an error there? Because I ran like the building the database. I need to restart my LSP. Nope. Okay, it broken. So what was I looking for? Right, the editor asset manager. Wherever it is. And I'll want to redo that too. Loader, editor asset. Wait. Is it just under the root directory? Asset indexer? Yeah, it's asset indexer. No, wait. I'm thinking of Brane project. Because right now the project is what actually contains all the open assets and stuff. Right. Which is not what I want to be doing. I want to have like this asset indexer. Which makes more sense to go in assets here. Let me just make sure that asset indexer CPP is no longer in here. And instead we put it here. still take a long time before VR gets off that current pipeline. Hopefully your project is a part of that. That is the hope. That is the hope. What if we just built something so absurd people have to get VR to try it? I'm kind of just rebuilding the entire editor here. So editor is a module. Do we have the current project? Yes. So Brane project there. Current project. So when stuff asks for the project, it does go through the editor. I like it working that way. That's another refactor I'm going to do, is I'm going to make I mean, it is kind of like the, alright, what if we didn't consider practicality, as businesses normally do, to, like, because normally when you start a business, you're like, okay, let's come up with, like, the dream vision, and let's scale it back to something we, like, you know, you think you could do, and survive, like, you make it reasonable. But I'm like, no, I'm done with being reasonable. I want to just say, here are my goals if I don't need to compromise on anything. And then let's just try to build that and see if there's a, like, try to figure out a way to achieve that goal without compromise. Like, make other compromises along the way to make the no compromises vision work. And that's what, I feel like that's what a lot of people are looking for. And that's one reason why I'm doing this as like a content creation thing, because even if I fail, it's going to be interesting to watch, and people can support the vision and what I'm trying to do. But it is going to take a lot of work, though I have a lot of I have a fair number of reasons to think I will actually get there eventually. Time for real super user content. Yup. But no, I have a number of things that make me think that I will get there. And the main thing that makes me think, and this is more like the vibes thing, but the main reason I think I'll get to where I want to go is mostly because I don't care about the time frame. And I mean, like, like, there's a fair chance it ends up as like a Star Citizen type thing, right? Because that's another example of a project similar to mine where, like, they're not compromising their vision. At least I don't think they are. I'm like not in tune with that community, but that's the vibe I get from it, is they're like, we're gonna build this thing no matter how impractical, and the timeline has been 10 years for them. And that's kind of a similar timeline to what I'm looking at. On the other side of things, it's like the relationships I've been making with other creators and whatnot that make me think that I'll be able to pull this off. Some of which might still be watching. I don't know if they are. If you are, love you guys. They popped in at the beginning of the stream to say hi. What was I doing? Right, I was procrastinating doing the actual refactors by moving other stuff around. Let's continue that. So we now have the asset indexer, which now we have a true asset ID to asset location path. which reads from the metadata of the assets to figure out what the asset ID of these assets are, and then add them to the path, to the asset paths. Which, at the moment, this is listening for file system events, but it's not doing anything yet. Right now, I just have it doing the first, like, index assets. Index all of them. Because this shows us changes to state, but we need an initial state to work from. I might want a better way to actually load assets. The next thing I probably maybe want to look at is the asset loading system. What's this currently look like? So if I go to editor asset, because the problem is this current refactor is pretty big, so I'm starting to get lost in the sheer scale of it. So this is the main thing we're looking at here, where I could start biting stuff. I could start biting stuff, not stuff, stuff. I could start biting stuff off here and continue the refactor from here. What do I need to add here? I need to add a way to parse the metadata file, or not necessarily. This isn't necessarily source. Well, asset. Like, this isn't an editor. Editor assets aren't necessarily assets. So maybe I've been... Because the point of the whole refactor I've been doing is moving away from editor assets to the idea of, like, sources. So do I continue with the name editor asset, or do I call this like a source? Like editor source. I think I continue with this as a we'll just continue with assets. Assets are fine. Especially since the editor asset is composed of an asset source. As well as a metadata. So yeah, this asset is both sources and metadata. And it's no longer... Editor assets are no longer handled through inheritance, right? I have them as a variant now. Which, actually, that works. That works fine. Which means the way that I want to handle... How do I want to handle parsing? Parsing and writing. I want to handle it similar to my refactor for serialization. If I look at utility serialized data, we have this serializer class. And this serializer class is what I want to copy, but for JSON. Or JSON, or however you're supposed to pronounce that. I don't know, JSON. And do I want to put this into utility? I kinda, yeah. Put this into here. And this is where I potentially swap out the JSON library, because there are others that I potentially want to use for speed. Oh. And I want to copy the JSON lookup tables don't impact performance much. In what thing are you saying that in reference to? Like the JSON CPP isn't that slow, or that the main reason why I'm doing the refactor that I'm currently doing is because I want to store state out. Right now, editor state for like assets is stored directly in the JSON values, which I honestly don't care about the performance of that, but I do care about like the coding stability of it, the reliability of me remembering to error check it, because the reliability of me error checking all the values every single time I use them is not good for config or even just storing values. Probably true, but the error checking and developer experience aren't great. See, unless you're writing JavaScript, in which case it's great. It's a JavaScript object. Yeah. JavaScript object notation. See, what was I looking at? Right, serialized data. Serializer error. Create a JSON serializer. Let's see. So I can already see missing key. Can see wrong type. It's basically just missing key and wrong type. Are there any other JSON errors that we could throw here? We could have wrong string format. Good to have just parser error there. See, I want a little bit more data here on what actually made it not parse correctly. We'll add a message in there too. Because for a missing key error, I want to know what that missing key is. For the wrong type, I want to know what that type was. For these, I can get creative. There we go, and we're just gonna add in add a JSON serializer CPP. If implementing JSON edits into code makes debugging faster, then it's always good to be good long-term to have a stable foundation. But I wouldn't do more than you have at this stage. Well, see, that's the thing. What I'm working on right now is the basis of everything. So a large refactor like this has to happen at some point. And if I do it now, it's going to be a lot smaller of a refactor. Then it will be longer term. Plus, some other things that I'm doing with this refactor is, like, things to do with the undo system, to make the undo system that I was working with for JSON to work with everything in the engine, which will be very nice for anyone using the engine for, like, undo stuff to work. But, and, like, for me not to have to use editor event type things like I currently was doing, which was super messy and kind of the, like, I don't know how to handle this event system, but it's super hard to trace how things interact in the actual engine. As opposed to like, oh, this thing listens to changes on this variable. Let's see what changes this variable, and stuff like that. Which I guess you kind of in a roundabout way get with event systems. I don't know. I'm also not quite sure what you're arguing for, like which part of the system that I currently have that you are currently arguing for me to keep. Undo count relies on how much memory you want to allocate to undo count. Correct. This can't be just a string view. Out of line definition. What type of serializer error? I guess I need whatever the JSON value type is that I'm going to use. Very much considering swapping out the JSON library, because my current one doesn't strike me as particularly fast, but it is easy to use. We're just gonna say missing key. We'll keep the messages really simple now, for now. One, 2, 3, 4. That's 5. Oh, wait. Oh no, that's actually fine. Wrong string format. Parser error. Broke out the whole format and everything, and then decided not to use it. Okay. So what do I want to pass in here? For read, it's like const JSON value, which this is if I'm continuing to use JSON CPP. Which is this. But if we wanted to go like super fast, we could do SIMD JSON. Which, if I'm including this library as a way to parse JSON on the client as well, then I think we do SIMD JSON, because I've been looking at it for a while. So is it on-demand document? I want to see how it's handled without exceptions, because we are doing this without exceptions, and I don't care about the actual assembly code. I will trust them on that. For field and object, so it's on demand, raw JSON string. What's the... Okay, so this is the JSON that they're parsing. So you call get with this passed in, and then you get an error. Is this a... So it's using that get there. How would I do it with exceptions? Is it a different command? Okay, they're just doing the square brackets notation, whereas over here I'm not seeing... Well, no, there is square brackets notation. Maybe it's that they're directly casting the type. Object len. There, they're iterating over it. There, they're just calling value. Because the difference between calling... Okay. Okay, yeah, the difference between their checking is calling the value function instead of the get function. Got it. Alright, JSON CPP, your reign has come to an end after many long years. See what features there are. Link with thread support. So you can just, so if you don't enable exceptions, it just doesn't have exception throwing interfaces. I really like that. I wonder what the validation does, though. So this will fail. Yep. Because JSON CPP does not exist. It's mostly in utility. State won't need to link it. I don't think. At least it should get it through utility. Yeah, this shouldn't need it. We should just link utility. In fact, it should get it through assets client. So let's link. Not make changes, modify it, this off. Okay, we'll just drag it now. Okay, so it's just called simd.json. Some JSON. Okay. It's the file manager? File manager doesn't need to parse JSON. If it does, it can use utility. Wait, didn't I already do utility? This is utility right here. Yes? No? I'm streaming right now. Okay. That's like the actual time we make the utilities library. Then where else did I put it? Under utility. Config. Oh. Right. Because of the config. What if I linked utility instead? Because config, I'll just have config write an implementation of the parser, and then we'll just call our utility parser function on it. Then here, does it have a generic value? Actually, let's try seeing if our CMake config is, yes it is. So now I would be able to go here and say include whatever. Okay, so it'd be SymD.json. Now the question is, what is this, is document it? What is on demand? SymD.json on demand? So there's using, but am I able to rename namespace? Oh. Okay, so it's just namespace, not using. We can now say JSON document, like so. And I believe value is what we want. They're more like, so here's the quick start. Well, on demand document is not a fully parsed JSON value, rather an iterator. It means that while you iterate an array or search for a field in an object, it's actually walking through the original JSON text, merely reading commas, colons, and brackets to make sure you get where you are going. This is the key to on demand. Wait a second, can I write JSON with this library? That's probably a good thing to check. Because this is a very read focused library. You know what? I'll actually stick with JSON CPP for now. That can be one less refactor. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. What? What? You take song recommendations. Not really. Since I can't really verify that they're like copyright safe. Since like on Twitch it's mostly fine to play whatever you want, but I'm also multi-streaming to YouTube right now. I gotta be careful about what I play so I don't get so I can keep the stream up. And I mean, I'm not monetized on YouTube, but like yeah. I mean, on the Twitch VOD it gets it muted, and I just want to avoid all that. So they're looking for we'll change this to here. I'll just now. Well then it would depend on what license you put it under. Because copyright works pretty much how the person who's published their song intends it to work, or set it to work. By default, it's that nobody else can touch it unless it's for something like fair use, for things like if you're criticizing something, or doing, well, I mean, even transformative work is a little bit sketchy in some places, but in general, it's like, are you a critique channel on YouTube? If not, then you can't use the thing. Unless they have something like a CC attribution license or a Creative Commons license on it. Other than that, it's proprietary. What was I gonna do? Right, I was gonna go back here. You were going to change this to JSON H. And we'll have both of these as value. Go. Now, do I want this to directly return a value? Or do I want to pass in references to values? Because that changes up how initial parsing of editor assets works. I think for writing this works fine. We'll do it by reference. Or I don't know. Yeah, we'll do it by reference. So in here, we'll just say static assert false, no base. Here we'll say no implementation of write for this type. But we will create a couple of base implementations here, or I'm gonna say long. Now we'll do one for int. Indeed. Can't either. I got a little taste of it actually working at like CES, because that's the first time in a hot minute that that I've actually like fully used it. Let me tell you, it was really fun showing it off to people. Let's see, where would it write? Anything shown off by NVIDIA at CES recently to affect any design decisions for this project? No, not really. Most of what they showed off was like, oh look, our GPUs don't do actual GPU things anymore. they pretend to really, really well. Yeah. And that was my impression of the entire thing. So yeah. And I'm already kind of like a I prefer for stuff to just work how it's supposed to. Or not work how it's supposed to, but come on, Brane. What were you trying to say? Sorry, I'm like was locked into what I was coding. What was I gonna say? Brane. Boot up here. I'm not really a fan of like frame generation, as in like a building your game around frame generation. If anything, I believe like engine devs and outside of like making sure your stuff supports it, I feel like game devs and engine creators should build under the assumption that there is no frame generation and try to optimize for that scenario of no frame generation. Because what is the purpose of frame generation? It's to make lower end hardware than the recommended specs be able to run your game. But if you take frame generation into account, what you do is, okay, I don't even need to make this work at the recommended hardware. I can aim below my recommended hardware, and then frame generation will make up the difference. Which is why a ton of games run like crap in the most recent release cycle of games, is because that's like the calculation happening in studio executives' head is, we don't even have to make it run on the recommended device. We let frame generation make it run on the recommended device. What about in terms of any of the new VR stuff, like the headsets? Ooh. Not really anything that like directly changes it. I did spend a fair amount of time with like gloves and haptics people though, so that kind of like confirms some of my decisions. Sorry, I was looking over at Twitch chat. Said it's fair use as long as you don't show the entire soundtrack. Well, that's kind of how it works. I think it like has to not replace the original. Where the thing I bought went, because I bought a thing, which there's parts of it over there. Did I put it over there? No. Where did I put it? Where did I put my cool thing? I see pieces of it everywhere, but there it is. It's on my PC. But yeah, I bought the meme device because I got to see it in person and I realized, hey, this is literally for me. Like this device is literally designed for people like me who live in a large household and like staying online until the sun comes up in the morning, but nobody else in the house is nobody else in the house is a fan of me staying up until the sun comes up, while also doing activities that sometimes require me to talk. Like one time I thought, hey, what if I started streaming super early in the morning? Kind of pirate software style. But it turns out there are other people that live in this house, and they don't exactly appreciate me talking in the room that I am, where everybody else in the house can hear that I am talking, even if they can't make out my words. So, I bought this, which I can actually, since it's a mic, show off what it does right now. If it has battery power, that is, which it does. Talk in their rooms then. No, I am in my room. But, okay, it actually is connected already. So let me turn off, like, the nice mic.
Yeah, so it's literally like a, I mean, it's like a muzzle. It's a mask. The audio quality is like not great, but the main purpose of it is that other people can't hear you. So it doesn't really matter what the people who can hear you are hearing you like, because it's serving its first purpose of nobody outside my room can hear what I'm saying right now. And it's significantly quieter. And I also can't breathe very well because I have to like plug my nose, because if I talk and let air go out of my nose, it's a lot quieter.
But yeah, let me show you what it actually... So, if I... To show kind of like the difference here, because I have like the nice boom microphone that picks up a lot of stuff. If I talk into it...
Hello everybody, Wireless here. As you can see, you can still kind of hear what you can still definitely hear what I'm saying, but it's a lot quieter.
Unfortunately, I like talking with like a lot of breath, so I definitely have to like pace myself a little bit more in breathing. But combined with your headset, it ends up turning into a full anime cyber helmet. Indeed it does. In fact, I like made a Twitter post with me wearing it that actually kind of blew up a little bit. It's like sitting at 30 likes right now, but it's just like cyberpunk timeline. So it has like two gaskets. It has this gasket and also the gasket I have on it now. With the nose gasket that like actually like looks cooler, it doesn't fit onto the headset. Instead, it's like it just doesn't fit in there. There's no room for it. So if like I'm only wearing the thing, this looks cooler. If I actually need to use it with a headset, that's the way to do it. Just waiting for someone to make a VR headset motorcycle helmet form factor for real. Oh, all of those notifications are people still liking it. Is it up to 30 likes now with that change? No, we're still at 29. Okay. You have to be careful when you show your Twitter feed directly on stream. Not that I have anything sus on there, intentionally. But unintentionally, you see a lot of sus stuff. Looks like something police would do for a deranged criminal. Indeed. Looks like eating your hard drive to gain its knowledge. That's not what I'm doing. But yeah, if it gets like super light, I might even switch to it as my like mic for the stream. Ooh, there actually is one more thing I wanted to show, which is like if I don't intentionally block my nose, like if I let me try to intentionally not block my nose, as opposed to if I do... It's like a lot louder when I do let air come out of my nose. I don't know. Is it off again? Oh no, it isn't off. Let me make sure I fully turn that off to maintain battery. I think it just turned off. Yeah. But yeah, this is me not annoying the other 7 people in the house. So that is one really cool thing I saw at CES, was the entire team behind that. They also have like a headset and some controllers, and I want the controllers. It's a very cool team, all VR chat nuts. Their CEO. Do I have his card right here? I do. This is this is their CEO's business card. You don't really need to see much about it, except that like on the back is his VR chat profile, and the front is just like a regular business card, which is amazing. I saw multiple of those. Some of the VR chat team that I met there had it like that. The prisoners locked into VR where their bodies just kept in their cells. Nah, that's what they're gonna do to the general populace when we can't handle them anymore. Okay. Can I do is if s is int, return s as int. From return type value int, aka int. Oh, wait. I need to say value is equal to int. Right. Then we return here error. We'll say value was, and then s dot to not styled string. And type is an enum. I guess to styled string works. We'll say JSON serializer error. And here we want the type, which is JSON serializer error. Wrong type. And then here it's actually super easy. We just say s equals the value. And that's literally it. Actually, I could by default No, we're gonna continue on with this method. For every single one of the types that it supports. So we'll do it for long. Wait a second. No, because that would put it on every single one of them. Overloaded operator is ambiguous with based on value and constant long. Huh? Huh. So it looks like it might be doing an automatic conversion. See, it has like some flair about that for the people who like hear about it, but then like all the inmates would just be like jumping constantly, and then you get a news story, and then there'd be sympathy, and then yeah, it'd be a whole mess. I do int64t instead. Okay, now it isn't complaining. Let me guess, is this defined to... No, it's long. Huh. Wait. Then what's regular long? Is it some like weird 42-bit integer? We'll have a width of at least 32 bits, so long is a normal int? I have gone this long without realizing that. I thought that long was 64-bit this entire time. Because, like, I thought I was going under the same idea as, like, double. I guess in C# is long a double. Ah, see, this is what I was thinking, because I originally learned all this in C#. So in C#, long is a 64-bit nullable integer. Why are integers nullable? Anyway. Sorry, we have to cleanse the browser. Nullable integer. We'll just we will stick to these types for anything, but yeah. Okay, and now we do this for unsigned, which I don't know if as a U32 or U64 is what I'm thinking. So there's a U, U, we need to change these. Is uint 64? Is that a... Okay, so uints do exist. Or large uints. Long uints. Unsigned longs. And now, let's do the same, but for doubles. Well, for, UMMD registers? What is... Whatever the floating point things. I'm going for floating point numbers, that's it. For float. Is it just is number? No, there's is double. Maybe is integral is... What is integral? I'll search. Is this just like if it is an int? So is numeric, does call is integral. There's also is double, so if it's is... So is integral just means is it an int? Is it an integer? So now I just copy paste this, turn everything into a double. And then boom. I think that's the majority of types. Okay, except for strings, as int, uint, uint64, uint, largest int, float, double, bool, is null, is bool. Okay, we need booleans. I forgot booleans and strings. Go. Then we'll just yank this. Go down to the bottom of the file. Throw it down there, and then say string. This is a string. We just grab it as a string. This is string, we can just throw it in there as a string. Now, there is one last type. Two last types that I want to implement. One is going to be pretty simple. Just we want standard vector. So any vector of type t we're going to say is array. I want to change the name, the way the errors work. I will remember to do that later. We'll say expecting array of value was that. Okay, so if this is an array, we're going to say for auto item in value, because it just works as a regular iterator. We'll do I want to make a result guard. In result, I'm gonna do a I'm gonna do a definition. We're gonna say check result. And if we... This is just gonna be if result is error, then we want to return result error. So we extract the error just in case this isn't the same result type. Do that. And that just kind of one-lines this whole bit of grammar there, which is a pain to type out every single time, and we can simplify all of that to just check result. So now in here, I should just be able to go check result item, or rather, if this is an array, we want to say value clear value we observe, and then s dot out size. Oh, yeah. I believe number of values in the array or object, which is what we want. Item result equals JSON serializer for type T read. So you can see it's recursive. Like, this could be an array of complex objects and this would still recursively work. And then we pass in item JSON here. And the value that we want to get out is this is an item value. We pass in item value. And since we don't actually have a return value, we can actually one-line this to just check results. Of the read, and if we haven't returned, we can just say value push back item value. And just like that, we read in, we parse the entire thing. And then to write this as an array. Say value. I'm gonna say s equals JSON no value. I think that's a constant. No. No. Yes, so this is this constant. Binary compatibility clutches do not use. Huh. How do I say it's null though? What does the clear method do? Removes all object members or array elements. Type is an array value, object value, or null value. Type is unchanged. How do I set it to... Has to be a way to set it to null. Can I set it to just straight null pointer? Or can I just set... I'm overthinking this. Boom. This one will be just null. Yep, null value. Then for every item in value. Oh, why did I put it as string? I wanted vector here. Oh, right, because I copied. I'm not stupid. Then we have the item JSON there. Just check results on JSON serializer of type T, write to item JSON, the item. And now this will recursively write. So now we do essentially this exact same thing, but I want to do what Unity was not brave enough to do, and to do standard unordered map as one of the things we can read and write from. String must be one of the components, but we can do so string as the key and values, any value as the value. it's okay. So now I just need to do... What is this? Read? Okay, for S. Get member names? That is all of the member names. For auto key and get member names. We're gonna say S key. That's what we're reading out here. We know for a fact that that key exists because we got it from member names. And then this will do the type checking for us. And error checking, so we don't need to worry too much. Oh, does that... I think that might be done. Nice. And now we move on to this. Every item in value. And this is writing. So instead of S append, instead we do S item first. Because this would be a pair. Pair where the first member is the string that is the key and the second will be an object that is the value. And just like that, we can automatically serialize objects now. However, I do need to change this to isObject. Or that wouldn't have worked. I've now handled every single case. But I do want to say expecting object. Expecting string. Expecting double. This is expecting a float. This needs a comma in there. It values all values equally. Indeed. As long as they're defined. Expecting new int. Yeah, I can't see the keyboard through the headset. And my muscle memory for the number 6 is apparently wonky right now. There we go. Serializer written. I need the Dark Soul text. I did remember to put the JSON serializer in there. I did. Which means that we can now, if we want to, write serializers for all of our different types. In here for the editor. I don't know why I had that taking up my screen space this entire time. So for example, we could create a serializer for a shader asset source, and a shader asset metadata, and an asset metadata. Let's make it for asset metadata first. And also for asset ID. Because I'm now realizing that I need to write a serializer for asset ID. Do JSON serializer. And then in here where we do serializer for those 3 different permutations. Actually, not 3 different, 2 different permutations. Hello, audio. How goes it? We'll add in a JSON serializer. And this is not the JSON value there. This needs to be const. I'm doing alright. We're just writing a JSON serializer so that I don't have to worry about validating documents anymore, or editor assets anymore when I actually serialize them. Oh, and this needs to be JSON serializer. Ooh, I forgot. That's serializer. This is JSON serializer. This needs to be a JSON serializer error. Get an interpolated triangle You mean the rainbow triangle? As opposed to the not rainbow triangle. Nice. No camera or projection matrices yet. It is coming. Very nice. Alright, so I need to do each one of these manually. So for domain is just a string, right? Yeah, so I can just do this on serializer. Then I can do read. I'm gonna say domain. Or no. The way that I'm gonna handle asset IDs in JSON isn't going to do a custom object for each one of them, because I don't want anybody else to have to deal with that if they ever write their own implementations of this, or even like me myself looking at this. Instead, what we're going to do we'll have our JSON value there, and reading, this is just going to be value equals s dot if s is string. Actually, we can use a different parser for this. We can say string asset ID string check results JSON serializer string read s asset ID string. Now we have our string. We're going to say parse result is equal to asset ID parse asset ID string if parse res is an error. We need to return error JSON serializer error JSON serializer error wrong string format. See, I predicted it. Wrong string format, and then we're gonna say parse res error. Is the error a string? What is the type of parse res. It is a string. So I can just pass that along, and it retains the entire error. There we go. I love Rust-style error checking. And then for this, we can just do check results. JSON serializer. Standard string. Write. And we don't want to do output serializer, we want to do JSON version. Value. We pass in the value. And we just toString this. Actually, I'm overthinking this. And just like that, we have an asset ID. Correctly parsing from JSON. In an easy helper function. See, the problem is I like overthinking things too much. This is part of the problem. And now that that is working, now I can go and make a base serializer for asset metadata. So when we parse out asset metadata, ooh. Right, we want this to be constant. I'm gonna do this as a guard instead. And okay, what is in metadata? The ID, literally only the ID. So we're gonna say value ID is equal to JSON serializer asset ID read s, then asset ID. Or even just ID. Oh, I can even do it like this. Just passing it in by reference. Non-constant value L. Oh, right. That's right. It's a tracked value. Means I can't do value ID. I have to do set. Or what even are my member functions for? Right, I need arrow operator to like dereference it. It's not a pointer. But I make an arrow operator. I put this as a pointer instead of a reference. Does that work? Oh, it does. Okay, note to self, if you ever want to do arrow operators and have it, like, do the auto double arrow for you, then you just need to put it in, have it return a pointer value instead of a reference, which my brain goes, oh, just return a reference. That makes sense. But no, I want an arrow operator. That value, and if you return a pointer, it auto does multiple arrows for you. Right. We're gonna say asset ID, pass in the ID here as a reference. This needs to be capitalized, which is why it was complaining. And then we set this to ID, but this returns a thing. So I'm going to call forward on it. This needs an editor action type. I think I'm actually going to set a default type here to standard. But this is the wrong place to do that. So we actually need to do it here. And now I can just call forward. And the reason why instead of this immediately setting the value, why this returns like an object, is the idea would be you pass the return value of this function to the versioner, and it gets recorded as a version. Or it recorded as an action for the editor to undertake for you. So to circumvent needing to do that, we just call forward on it, and that immediately executes the action that was returned. Because it's giving us the information to set the value to this value as well as revert it. But we're just like, nah, just do the thing. Which is incredibly inefficient to just call this immediately and disregard all of that behavior. But I really don't want to make it easy for me to directly set values, so I think this is fine. It's just one more function call. So, does asset metadata have any more members than that? Nope. What is this described source? It says source ID. What was I thinking here? What does described source do? I guess described source is supposed to be a way for when we have the metadata for an asset, for us to find the editor asset. I don't think I need to worry about that for now. You have the metadata for an asset, you have the editor asset as well. I don't think they're getting split up at any point. Alright, so when we write this, it's the other way around. This is going into a check result. This is also going into a check result. And the ID that we are going to write is S. No, not S. Value dot ID. Value? No. Get. Okay, yeah, it is just value. Because there is mutex locking happening there as well. Okay, so we have metadata written. They're the default. So now I need to decide how to handle rest of the metadatas. I mean, I guess the rest of the metadatas are as easy as just, the metadata and then the asset source itself. Here's what we'll do. Come on, let me navigate to load asset. Ooh, editor asset CPP. You are open unknown asset? Oh, right, because load asset. Open unknown asset is load asset. This is going to be a result of type unique pointer editor asset. Guess we're testing out editor assets or unique pointers inside of results. And this is where I get to decide how I want to handle all of the different extensions, different things. For now, I'm just going to delete all of these. And we're going to go with the simplest option for now. What is the simplest option? Would it be .material? .mat? I feel like I'm being too verbose with the asset names. Perhaps too generic? Do Brane mat? How does Unreal Engine? They do UAsset files, which typically contain only a single asset. Each asset reference contains a directory style path. Call it a BMAT for Brane material. I like the idea of just the B prefix. So like assemblies would be BASM. BASM. I like... Okay. I'm gonna go with this. File extension for everything is B and then dash. For meta files, we're even gonna do B-meta. Or B-info. That way, if anybody wants to make utility tools, they know every single engine file is always going to be .brane or b something. Or even the project file could be b.project. I like that. Alright, I'm going to be right back. What? All right. Need to get an actual office chair as soon as possible. Because the antique furniture is not meant to be comfortable. It's meant to look impressive when you have people over. And they actually are surprisingly comfortable a lot of the time, but like could definitely be more comfortable. Alright, we are back. A little, yeah. Scared me a little. Don't be so scary, chat. Jump scares always get me. I'm like, ah! Actually, that's not scary. No, I refuse to. I retired, remember? Not making FNAF videos anymore. Decided to start coding instead. Much more fun. Plus, jump scares always get me. Okay, I'm just randomly clicking around. What was I? Right. I was deciding it's time. It's time. Ooh. It's time to try to get the engine to compile. Let's start adding assets one by one and making sure those assets work one by one. Which is going to be interesting. And not at all extremely painful. Yeah, I want to change up the music. We are doing a futuristic city dark ambience. He said, it's time to get the engine to compile. And then the soundtrack switched to this. Bare, desolate wasteland where no code runs. Will the civilization that is Brane Engine ever recover from the state the code is in? Watch 5 seasons of this show to find out before it is inevitably cancelled without a resolution. Alright, I was talking about extensions. Load asset. B material. Extension not recognized. Well, first... we need to do if file system exists, and then path dot and say path dot root path. I think it's root path. Path file name, and then path dot. Actually, it's literally just string plus dot b. Do I want to do meta or info so it can be different? Now we're calling it metadata. We'll do b meta. Then we will check. Well, if the metadata file exists, then we don't want to do file manager. No file found, or nothing found file manager. I have it included. Oh, it's a module, so I should try getting it as a module. But it's static. Why is it a module? I literally don't use this as anything other than file utilities. Fresh directory tree, but this is static. What? Is this where I was trying to put, like, file watching stuff in here? Yeah, it looks like it. Well, I use this as just like a file util. I'm not going to deal with that rename. That rename is going to be hell. What's the difference between read file and read asset? E asset equals new T. Asset to serialize. Oh, so this is like editor asset. Read unknown asset, read async asset. This should be potentially part of async read asset. No, your profile picture looks pretty raw. So my guess would be no. Okay, so I can say read this as a JSON thing. Okay, we'll do extension not recognized. Metadata. So this is our metadatums. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We need to have the source before we can do metadata. Which is fair. We need to do a source path. I'm not going to convert it to a pointer yet. We'll just copy all the data over to a pointer later. We'll just stack allocate for now. And this constructor doesn't do anything, right? It just initializes the tracked object, sets the file. Right, and then we don't have types or names anymore. Is abstract class. It's an abstract class. What's making it abstract? Ah. Well, since I don't plan on having anything derived from this anymore, oh no. Stake is pulling in forces of nature to help them out. This is shaping up to be the battle of the century. Or the battle of time. I need a screenshot of that. Ah, crap. Ah, it's okay. That's a public Discord. There's always like the, what if I accidentally... I don't have anything sus on my Discord, but I do have like group chats and stuff with... I don't know. There's nothing sus there. I just don't want to leak what I'm planning. Well, right. I was gonna throw that into the meme channel. Okay, back to this. Right. Oh, that's the asset source ID. Asset source has the contained assets and the built assets, which means this can do contained assets and build assets and just do the match statement later. Not going to worry about contained or built assets yet. I'm going to need to, but I don't need to yet. That works. Second, can I do asset.metadata path? I can. If the asset exists. Put that at the end there. Throw the errors down there. I think perhaps time has reverted steak back into a cow. That's my guess. And is thus prohibiting you from doing so. Right now, just time, it seems like. I have Discord on a separate screen? I do. I can get rid of those. I can get rid of it. The red. It's gone. It no longer calls to me. It no longer forces me to respond to its call. Alright, now how do I handle the different extensions? I'm tempted to create a some sort of hash map for all the name, or we could do a giant if statement. But what if I eventually want a plugin to be able to use custom file types? I mean, even then, if I do like a Unity scriptable data type thing. On a serious note, how do you usually know when you are writing good code? Well, for one, I don't. But for two, it's like, how easy would the code be to how easy would the code be to change later? And how tightly coupled is it with everything else? Basically, the more one piece of code can stand on its own, with more like, how easy is it to change? The easier it is to change in the future, the better. And usually the simpler as well. So you'll see here, like, a lot of the things I'm doing is making stuff more complicated, or using more complicated systems behind the scenes, but I'm making the code simpler, if that makes any sense. If you're deleting code, you're doing the right thing. But then, of course, this is me looking back at all my code and going, oh, this looks terrible. And that's because it's been like a year and a half since I've touched the code base. Significantly last, it has now been a lot less than half a year since I last touched the code base. I really want to do a switch case. But a giant if-else block works here just fine. So I'll say asset dot source. Oh, I can't even. I guess I can do check result. I wish there was a way to, so in Rust, scopes can return values, but in C++ there's nothing like that. If that did work in C++, I'd be able to make this check result auto unwrap result types. But as it is, I'd have to do like auto parse result res is equal to, what source type do I want to do first? VLTF is so tempting, but you know what? Image source. Images are super standalone. I like images. We're going to do image source first. I mean, being perfectionist about code is generally good, but yeah. So I need to do a static result image asset source parse. Or hmm. 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 No. But I am thinking. Image asset source. There's no data. Because I was thinking, like, oh, I should probably do like a parse function on this, but no. The whole point of this is that, of the new sources system, is that you don't necessarily need to parse the thing. I do think it makes sense for the asset source to retain its own path. Like, that makes sense. SOU parse. Ah. Let's define that up here real fast. So source. Let's delete all of the asset types there. There we go. Tracked object. Ooh. This actually does need a Does this take an option for a shared pointer? So sources always will have a parent. And then when we do I'm going to say editor asset here. I should be able to downcast. Not a direct or virtual base of asset source. Wait, asset source. Correct object. Oh. No, it is some. There we go. Automatic cast happens now. And what is it complaining about now? Asset source does not match any declaration. And well, that would be because I added the shared pointer to an editor asset to the declaration. And that initializes what I want to be initialized. And then here in load asset, then hash here, we don't really need to worry about. That we'll worry about later. Okay, so here image asset source. Well, let's actually go and we'll do the source path and the metadata. Not the metadata. Doesn't need to be tracked yet. We have a default value, so we can pass it in by value. Let's also do it so you can pass it in by pointer. That might work. That is the wrong parent value. Track type, weak value, parent. I mean, I guess I can do a pull one of those. Have I not made a CPP file for this yet? I have not, it looks like. Alright. Oh, there's that sickness I'm getting over. It apparently was just the regular flu. I included memory. Okay, and that implements all of that. Oh, I also need to remember to pull one of those and actually compile all these nice files that I have prepared for compilation that will fail. Now we have a tracked image asset source. Well, not even that. We can do a asset equals make shared image asset source, and then we pass in the path as well as a make shared. This is the editor asset, so this would be the source. So we don't want image asset source here, we want editor asset there. And we want this to be an image asset source. Which we can gain access to by saying include editor image. Oh, no. Assets, image, asset. Sources, image, source. Where did it go? Ah, there it is. Then I guess since this doesn't have a default constructor, even though it will need one. It definitely will need one. If nothing other than for the source path. I don't think we need to store source path now that we're directly storing source path in the actual source. Alright, well, it is 10 p.m. where I live, so I'm probably going to take a break, eat something, and then possibly go back to coding. But it's probably a good time for me to end stream so I'm not messing with anybody. Unless people want the... unless I hear the voice of the people... Voice of the people says, and the voice of the people says come on, turn on. And the voice of the people says,
Yeah, so stream 5 hours with a mic that sounds like this. Is this what the voice of the people says? I mean, this is to be honest, this is probably peak League streamer microphone. Like, I can totally see a League streamer like, "Ah, my team! It's all the jungler's fault. Ah!" You know? Like, I can see that. I can see that happening. Because, like, I can scream into this thing, and, like, none of my family can hear me. So I can just scream, and it's fine. Anyway,
yeah. So, we're good. We're ending stream here. Thank you for those who stuck around. It is appreciated.